Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where we say, I just don't understand. You are 110% correct. I don't get it. I'm here to aggregate the news, not explain what the hell is going on, I suppose. So Tesla continues to fail. They are dropping yet again. Surprise, surprise. I wonder why this might be. Tesla reports 14% decline in vehicle deliveries, making second straight year-over-year drop. Right? So in 2024, they started losing sales, and going into 2025, they seem to have continued to lose sales. Compared to last quarter, for the first quarter, they were down 13%. They're now down 14%. And you know what that means for the stock market. You know what it means when a company is selling less product and they seem to be failing. Their stock price went up today. Their stock price went up today. Why? I don't know. Currently, it's up 4.85%, so about up 5%. So the second quarter results come in, they sell 14% fewer vehicles, and the stock price goes up. Because of course it does. Because of course it does. What do you say? What do you say? Tesla, coming from CNBC, Tesla reported around 384,000 vehicles delivered in the second quarter, a 14% decline from a year ago, and the second straight quarterly drop. The stock rose about 2% Wednesday, so it's actually up by a lot more. The electric vehicle maker reported 443,956 deliveries and production of 410,831 vehicles during the same period last year. Here are the key numbers. Total deliveries for Q2 2025, 384,122. Total production of Q2 2025, 410,244 vehicles. Wall Street analysts were expecting Tesla to report deliveries of around 387,000 vehicles, according to FactSet. So basically, not only are they down, but they're down even below what the Wall Street people thought they would be down. Deliveries in the first quarter of 2025 dropped 13% from a year earlier to 336,681. Deliveries are the closest approximation of vehicle sales reported by Tesla, but are not precisely defined in the company's shareholder communications. So, yeah. Yeah, so if we look at what's going on with Tesla right now, right? So they dropped by their sales by 13% in the first quarter and 14% in the second quarter. That is on top of losing sales in 2024. So 2024 was down from 2023, and now they're significantly down from 2024. Right? You see the absolutely lackluster debut of the quote-unquote robo-taxi service in Austin, right? Waymo went into Austin a couple of months ago. They do something like 200,000 rides per month. They're teaming up with Uber. They're going to more and more cities. They are just knocking it out of the park. The robo-taxi from Tesla is only in Austin in a very specific geo-fenced area, and has a lot of other stuff that goes along with it. So that's not going very well. And then we have whatever is going on with Trump and Musk. Don't make me explain it. Don't make me. I think I might understand what's going on, and I don't want to explain it at this point. Anyways, their insanity is going on, and literally in the newspapers now, they're talking about Trump deporting Elon Musk. Literally, Trump said he is going to look into deporting Elon Musk, on top of his threats to destroy all of the subsidies that Elon Musk gets for all of his different ventures, not just Tesla, but also SpaceX and all those types of things. And in that environment, the stock goes up. Because of course it does. Because it's 2025. Why wouldn't the stock go? If I'm an investor, I'm like, yeah. So this car company is losing sales. This car company really isn't putting out new and sexy products anymore. The CEO of this car company might actually get deported. And to be clear, when I say that, don't get me wrong. 6 months ago, saying that Trump would deport Elon Musk would be absurd on the face of it. But we have learned a lot of things over the past 5 months. So, okay, might be deported, and all these subsidies that Elon Musk relies on might disappear overnight. So, yeah, I definitely think it's straight up from here. Stock prices straight up from here. This is the abjectly insane world that we're in. I've talked about this before with the overall stock price. S&P 500, I do believe it was, hit all-time highs recently. I think it was last week. And I've talked about this abject insanity. I think what's going on, and the thing that we should all be, I don't know if you can be cautious about it. Can you be cautious about a tsunami? You know what I think? I think we're gonna get hit by a tsunami. So we should be cautious about this. How do you get cautious about a tsunami other than try to run? Yeah, we're on an island that is 1 foot above sea level, and it's about a mile across, and that's where we're at. And we have a tsunami coming. What do you do? What do you do? Anyways, I've been thinking about this with the whole financial market. I've been trying to figure this stuff out, right? I've talked about this years ago. I had to talk with some old white guys. Actually, let's be clear. They had to talk with me. Oh, that was awesome. That is awesome. There is nothing like the pure fear in the eyes of old white guys as they're forced to talk to an Aspie who's like, no, but I don't understand. Like, ah! Anyways, I talked about this before with the financial markets and the value of things, right? That the only time you ever know a value of a thing is at the exact moment that thing is sold. So when somebody hands over money for that thing, at that moment you know what the value is. Before that moment, you don't really know what the value is. After that moment, you don't really know what the value is. And so that's why you're looking at why you want to look at things that are like high volume. So stock, right? You have a relatively good idea of the value of stock. Because if it is bought and sold a lot, so Intel or Sony or Apple, right? You have a relatively good idea what the world thinks of the value of that stock because it's being bought and sold so much in a given day, right? The issue you get into things like houses, where when you buy and sell a house maybe once every 5 or 10 years. So you bought it for one price, you think you can get another price for it. But maybe not. I think about that with our house, right? We bought our house for around 500. As far as I could tell, about a year and a half ago, we probably could have gotten about 800 for it. And now we can probably get about 650 for it, right? But you don't really know until you actually sell the house. Maybe we can get more, maybe we can get less. Who the hell knows, right? What is the actual value of that item? It's what people are willing to pay for it. And I think about this with back during the recession. I was hanging around again with money people, and I was talking with some of them about like one of the curious things about people like buying and selling stock, like with these stock traders, right? These stock pickers, and how they were working so much during the Great Recession, right? When everything was exploding, they were still buying and selling stocks. And so, me being me, I asked, why don't they just stop? Why don't they just stop? Right? There's a certain point where you probably have a relatively decent position and the world is going to hell. You don't really know where the world is going. So keep your relatively decent position and maybe go on a vacation for about a month or so. And the curious thing is I was talking with these people and they say, well, the problem is, Eli, is that if your job is to buy and sell, or basically trade Eastern European mid-cap stocks, that's what you have to do every day. Right, so if you have this massive recession going on, you have the financial crisis, right? The economies are blowing up, but your job is to buy and sell Eastern European mid-cap stocks. By God, you're going to spend all day buying and selling Eastern European mid-cap stocks. It's what the job. You are paid to do this work. You are not paid to not work. Right? I think it's one of the big issues we see with a lot of these investment funds and a lot of these institutional funds that we see is where they get into a lot of trouble because what probably would have been good for a lot of these funds is to put their money somewhere, put the money into a couple of stocks or whatever, rebalance every once in a while, adjust every once in a while, and then keep their 9% a yearly compounding interest rate and be happy with that. The issue is that they have investors. Many times those investors get bonuses. They get bonuses if they can do better than, let's say, 9%. So let's say the stock market average is 9% per year. If they can get a 20% return, they may be able to take 1% of that. Basically, that is a bonus that they put into their pocket. The curious thing, though, is if they go under the 9%, the worst thing that can happen is they might get fired. Might get fired, probably won't get fired. So there's a whole bunch of benefit if they get outsized returns, and almost no benefit or no loss if they don't. And so what happens is you have these folks, and they start betting more and more and more with other people's money, hoping that they do really well so that they can get that additional money in. Where concern, where all this comes together with things like Tesla and basically what's going on with the stock market right now, is I have a really big concern that we have too much wealth globally. That we're getting a glut of wealth. And we are basically at a loss for valuable things to put the money into, right? I think about this with these television shows, right? So if you watch YouTube, you probably hear some people doing diatribes about Disney Plus shows or whatever. And oh my God, they're expensive. Holy shit. Right, one of these god-awful Disney Plus shows will cost like $150 million, right? Apparently the Star Wars show, the Star Wars show before last, I don't watch any of them. I watched 5 episodes of The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian was considered a good Star Wars show, and that was garbage. Anyways, the one before last that had the lesbian space witches. That's all I remember about it. It had lesbian space witches in it. Anywho, apparently that cost like $300 million to create. Now, whatever you say about the writing, now whatever you say about the acting, now whatever you say about fires in the vacuum of space, whatever. $300 million. How in God's name would that ever make sense? And I think the issue is that there's this pot of money. They have so much money that they have to allocate on something, right? If a company has money, if investors have money, they don't want you to put it in the bank account, right? If you are a startup company and somebody buys $5 million, and again, they don't give you money, they buy $5 million in equity in your company, the last goddamn thing in the world they want you to do is go and take out a SPDR index fund and collect your 9% per year, right? They're giving you money so that you can then go and try to do a home run, right? Literally failing, literally losing every dime of the money is preferable to you putting the money into an index fund and getting a nice 9% return for everybody involved, right? They want 1,000% return. They want 10,000% return. They want the home run. You either do a home run or you go bankrupt. You don't get the middle route. And where I get concerned right now is if you look around, right, especially in American society, right, we're not building enough houses, just functionally, right? There's a whole bunch of issue with the financialization of the housing market. We just do. A house should never be a financial instrument. A house should never be an investment, ever. But anyways, beyond the financialization of the housing market, we're just not building enough housing stock, right? We're not building enough housing. We're not building enough factories. We're screwing around with industrialization and the rest of it. So many of the companies that we have right now that are the most valuable are kind of stupid. I mean, think about that. I mean, Facebook is what, 300 billion, 500 billion for Facebook. Would you care if Facebook died tomorrow? I haven't used Facebook in like 5 years because it's a garbage ass platform. If you look at so much of the high quote unquote value companies in the United States, they provide garbage products that probably most people wouldn't care about if it disappeared tomorrow. I think about this whenever they talk about raising minimum wage to $15 an hour. And then you have the fast food restaurants, and they're like, oh, but we'll go out of business. And I think one of the interesting things is, think about this. If you raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, $20 an hour, think about this. If three-quarters of the local fast food restaurants went out of business, would you notice? Not even would you care. Would you notice? Right? And I think that's one of the things. We have so many of these businesses nowadays. They're not providing medical care. Our medical institutions are failing. Our education institutions are failing. Our housing institutions are failing. Our care institutions are failing. The institutions that are required for a modern society are failing. That is not getting built out. What is getting built out is the next Facebook. Hey, look, we're going to have Facebook in virtual reality because that's what everybody wants. And I think the issue is, but there's so much money out there, right? There's so much value. The stock prices and gold and Bitcoin, people are willing to hand over more and more and more money for this item. And so the value of these items keeps going up and up and up and up. And so you have these people out there, and how they make money, the financial people out there, how they make money is by buying and selling. And basically they keep buying and selling and keeping the valuations of things going up and up and up, even as the foundations of our society absolutely and utterly fracture. And I think that's where you start to see things like Tesla failing miserably. Tesla is not doing well, but the investors got to put their money someplace, and everybody knows that Elon Musk is the techno king, regardless of what's actually happening. And so more money gets put in to things like Tesla. And the thing that I'll always say is, you can put a rocket on a turkey, it doesn't mean the damn thing is flying. It will hit the ground again, but it will not be a landing. So what happens when so much of our society is underpinned by financial valuations that are at an absolutely insane level? And then what happens when that finally fractures? You know, inertia. Why is something more valuable today than it was yesterday? Because it was more valuable than the day before. Why will it be more valuable tomorrow? Because it was more valuable, right? But inertia is the same way, right? What happens when the inertia starts going down and people just start dumping the stocks and investments and all that kind of stuff because they don't trust it? I don't know. It'll be curious. It'll be curious to see. Does Tesla's valuation correlate to the valuation of a Star Wars show with space lesbians in it? Space lesbian witches. Space lesbian witches. I don't know, that'd be interesting to see. I don't know. So what do you think about this? What do you think about Tesla's a drop of 14% decline in vehicle deliveries for the quarter, on top of the 13% decline for the first quarter, on top of 2024 being down from 2023, on top of Elon Musk might literally be deported from this country, and subsidies might be cut off, and the whole 9 yards. Does it make sense that the stock price would go up today? Or is this just proof of how absurd this entire system is? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. Remember, whether it's a thumb up, whether it's a thumb down, whether it's an amazing comment about me, or you think I'm a complete and utter moron, this is the modern world of social media, and all that matters is an interaction. So put your interaction down below, and I'll see y'all later.